In this video, we're going to focus on how we can give every bar a unique height or thickness, and then we do that for every different data set as well. So to do this, the first thing what we need is our border template, which you can get here at chartjs3.com getting started. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page, and of course, got a question, put it on Discord. So the first thing what I want to do here is to make this a horizontal bar chart. So I'm going to scroll down here. We'll say index axis equals the y. Save that, refresh. And next what I want to do is I want to add up another data set. So we have 2, comma, paste that, and then we can say here maybe cost or something. Well, let's remove just some color so we have a difference and change the values. Let's make this 25, or let's make this 12, 15, 12. I will keep that 9, and this one will be 8 and 8. Alright. Then for this one here, I'll just keep the upper color, which is a red color. Save that, refresh. So now we have 2 of these, and what we want to do now is to make the bar thickness relative to the value, and everything else should be more narrow compared to the highest value for this one, and we also recalculate that and do the same for the black bar. Alright, to do this I need to have a plugin, so I say comma, plugins, and then we're going to say here, let's say a horizontal bar width. Once we did this, copy this, constant horizontal bar width, ID, and then we're going to say here, before data sets, draw, and let's say here, chart, arcs, and plugins. So once we did this, we can do here an object destructuring with this equals chart. Then what I want to do here is put in here at least the CTX, and I want to put in here the data. Those are the two we'll be needing. So to do this, what I need to do is I need to loop through every data set, because every data set will have a different calculation because there's a different value that is the longest one. So what I'm going to do here is make this simple for each loop first. So say data.data sets, and then I'm going to say here for each. So for every data set, then we have the data set index. We are going to do a function our expression, and then within here we can work with the data set. So first, if we're going to do this, I need to get the width of the data. And the width, I'm referring to the bar thickness. So let's do a quick check how to do that. We say chart get data set meta index 0, save, refresh. Now when we open this, then we can scroll down here and then we go into the data. You can see here the thickness if we open one of those. And then this is the width, which is related to this, the width from left to right, but the height here in this case will relate to from top to bottom of the thickness of the bar. So we can call it our bar thickness. Because we're going to work with these data sets quite often, I will use a shorthand so we can do a nice loop later on. So say constant meta equals this functionality based on our data set index, because we're going to compare them twice or for every data set that we need. So then what I need is the following. We have this. We also have the height, so I can say here constant bar thickness will be based on whatever our data set is. Dot data, we can just say here right now 0, but later on we need to get the exact position of it, and I'll show you later on how. Dot height. So now we have the height for basically only data set, both data sets index 0 or data point 1 or 0. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure what is the highest one. To do that, I'm going to use a built-in function. I'm going to say here constant max. Then I'm going to use here the max method. And then for this, we're going to use the rest operator, which is triple dot. And then we're going to say here data.data sets index 0 dot data. Basically, we're going to get here the array of well, not only one data set, I want them both. So we're going to put that in here, but as it loops through and draws every individual data set, it will know what to do here. So it will grab this item here to know what's the value. And probably if I do here console log right now, we'll see one is 18 and the other would be 15. And then we get an error because we have an undefined reading of 0 on 86. Alright, 86. Data set. Hold on. Alright, I saw the error, my bad. Make sure this here, I said data set, but for some reason I managed to put in data. So that is of course not allowed because we have data here that will break the entire structure. It doesn't understand anymore what you're doing. So make sure that that is correct to data set. Then this should all work. Let's save that, refresh, there we are. 18 and 15 is being shown, so it knows exactly the position or the value. So now what I want to do is I want to extract where in the array is it positioned. So what I can do here is a constant, and I'm going to say here the index number, and the index number will be equal to, what we're going to do here is we're going to grab all of this, or sorry, not even, I guess we can do, well, we can do this. And then when we do this, what I want to do here is say dot index of, and what I want then is extract the max. So if max is 18, where in the array is it positioned? In this case, it will be on the very first one, which is index 0. So if I do a console log, say index number, that should be value of 0. There we are, 0 and 1, because this is 15. Alright, that is correct. So what if I make this one 26? You will see that now the high should be index number 2. That is correct. Alright, so that works all, and we can just remove this console log now. So what I want to do now, because the reason I need this, I need to get here, this bar thickness right now is the one that we're going to use, but right now we have only data point 0. That's not allowed. We need to have the one that is the highest value, because everything else will be narrowed down. So I need the one that will not be adjusted, and that is our baseline, or else it will be start to narrow until infinity, so it will disappear eventually if we don't do this, or if it's not the highest value. So I want to say here the index number, give me the index number of that. So once we did this, we are now good to go for the next part. And the next part is basically working in looping every data point. So far we looped for every data set. Now we're going to loop for every data point. I'm going to use this meta here. And then I'm going to say meta.data. Then what I want to do here is a dot for each. So we're going to loop through this. Then we're going to say here for every data point, we have the index, function, arrow, expression. And now what we can do here is reassign this height we have. Basically what I'm going to do is, if I copy this, and then, or we can just say here the height, and if I just only do here 0, what happened? I don't know what happened. If I only just do here 0, and just say the height will be 30, save, you should see that both of these are now being impacted and they're thicker than everything else. So what I want to do now is, instead of 30, is get a value that is relative to the highest value. If this is the highest value, it should divide by how much or how thick the bar is, and then divided by the data point itself. So we have a relative value. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put this here on index. Oh, hold on, no, I don't want to do that, sorry. What I want to do is the following. Let's first calculate our new bar thickness. So I'm going to say a constant new bar thickness will be equal to what? The bar thickness. That's how many pixels the bar is in thickness, divide by the amount of, or the highest value that we have. In this case it will be 18 for index or data set 0, and then we multiply this by the data point that we are in. And I think we can even use this, but I'm not 100% certain, and if not, we're just going to extract that later on. But let's do it like this, because this should be every data point if I am correct. And I think I'm incorrect, sorry. We should not do this, and the reason why this here shows probably all the bar elements in pixels and not in value. So don't do that, sorry. What I'm going to do is just going to grab this. I'm going to put that in here, so we get the data set. And then we're going to say here, multiplied by index, whatever the value is of that item. When we do this, if we do a console log, let's see if we get some new values in here. Save that, refresh, there we are. We're getting all different values here, so that looks good. So what I can do now is, let's get the height, and what I'm going to say here, that is that, and then we'll call this our index. So we're going to say our new height, or our height will be equal to whatever is our new thickness. And maybe this height could be, could use a shorthand, or sorry, no need. We can even use this data point here. That looks a bit more neat and concise. Let's do it like that, because this here has the access to the height. So let's save this, refresh, and there we are. Now we have these narrow bars, and we have thicker bars. You can see that this bar is same thickness as this one, while this, while they have the same value, is smaller. Of course, with some logic you can play around with that as well, but that is not necessary in this video.